August 1st, the 1st of August 2024, coming live from Oshawa, Durham region, province of Ontario, nation of Canada, continent, North America. And we're back to new Facebook notes for videos, live streams on key Bible verses and surrounding verses. So we haven't done one of these in quite a while. So I look forward to it. I'm just looking at things over here where my computers are, making sure everything's recorded properly. And camcorder's going, so we should be fine. So today we're looking at, this is going to be the 6th one we're doing. And we'll be doing it out of 2 Timothy 3:1. Very interesting verse. But know this, that in the last days perilous times will come. All right, so the Amplified Bible, Classic Edition. But understand this, that in the last days will come set in perilous times of great stress and trouble, hard to deal with and hard to bear. All right, Amplified Bible, not the Classic Edition, but the newer version. But understand that in the last days, dangerous times of great stress and trouble will come, difficult days that will be hard to bear. Expanded Bible, remember, know this, in the last days there will be many troubles, difficult, terrible times. Different translations, all saying the same things. We're going to get into in depth in this today. A lot more than what I realized. So, first of all, I was very familiar with this specific verse. Very familiar with it. Especially in 2007, during my very first 40-day fast. Yeah, the Lord gave me this verse alongside the words, strengthen my people. That's what He told me when He gave me this verse. And this verse may very well have to do with the Great Tribulation. Absolutely. Before the church is taken away, before the church is raptured. All right? I said it may be. All right? Pretty sure of it. But anyhow, the actual word perilous, the word perilous, not a good word, carries the idea of weakness. It carries the idea, has other thing, we're going to look at this today, carries the idea of weakness or to render weak or to make weak. Which is why the Lord gave me strengthen my people. And I didn't know that until I looked up that word perilous. All right? So that they can become strong and not weak during these last days. All right? Well, we're supposed to be strong all the time. Right? So this word perilous is translated many ways in different translation dictionaries. But even Weiss translations has hard times. All right? Revised Version has grievous. Grievous. New English Translation carries it as dangerous and fierce. Wow. J.P. Green Translation, using the Greek text there, using Strong's number 5467, Strong's Dictionary carries the idea of reducing the strength, difficult, dangerous, furious, fierce. See, reducing the strength. That's why He gave me strengthen my people. This word 5467, Strong's number, is from 5465, all right, which is found actually in Matthew 8:28 regarding the demons, all right, not good at all. When He had come to the other side, when Jesus had come to the other side, to the country of the Gerasenes, there met Him 2 demon-possessed men coming out of the tombs, exceedingly fierce. That's how they translate that word. All right, exceedingly fierce, so that no one could pass that way. Wow. So, Moulton and Milligan type of dictionary, hard and difficult, outraged, difficult, dangerous times. And finally here, for just different dictionaries and translations, the Complete Word Dictionary, Study Dictionary, New Testament, Zodiades. He has violent, fierce, wild, difficult, distressing, grievous, hard to bear. So they're all synonyms, all saying the same thing. All right? So the words shall come, so we got perilous times, and then shall come should be translated to set in. To set in. And I'll tell you why. Which also carries the idea of permanence. Permanence, according to the Greek meaning, we're never going back to the way things were before or used to be, meaning these hard times are here to stay. Are here to stay for Christians anyhow, until the rapture takes place. Marvin Vincent's word studies in the New Testament will set in. All right? So once it sets in, it's here to stay. All right? So don't expect things to get better. All right? In the natural. All right? All right. So let's keep going on here. This is where I added notes. That was my first part. And I was going to keep it short. And then the night before, I was just praying and I got all these different ideas. So this is the second part kind of thing. Getting ready for this teaching was quite sobering, I must admit. Absolutely. Very sobering. I got to look in the camcorder here. Sobering, I must admit, even though I know I did some research a few years back. A few years back, I got into this. And especially when the Lord had given me this verse. And when we read this chapter 3, what we read in this chapter 3, all right, I got to change things around here, regarding perilous times is really nothing new, since it all began at and because of the fall of man. But it also reminds me of Genesis 6, verse 5 and 11 to 13. Don't have time to get into it. Read it for yourself. Very, very serious stuff. Since these perilous times are here to stay, meaning things are not going to get better, I need to do what I need to do to prepare myself, first of all, and I have, and I will continually prepare myself, as well as preparing those God gives me to prepare them. Right? That's what he said. Strengthen my people. All right? All right. Must avoid all distractions at all costs. All costs must avoid distractions. All right? Going back to what the Lord had told me, strengthen my people, because of the true definition of perilous, the word perilous meaning reducing the strength or to make weak. I got thinking about Ephesians 6:10. I got thinking about Ephesians 6:10 regarding strengthen my people. What does Ephesians 6:10 say? Well, it says, be strong in the Lord. Be empowered through your union with Him. Draw your strength from Him, that strength which His boundless might provides. Amplified. All right? Especially in context with verse 13, which carries the word evil day in Ephesians 6. Evil day, so that you may stand in the evil day, which is basically synonymous with perilous time. Perilous times, evil days. It's all synonymous. All right? And the Amplified adds danger, the word danger, in brackets. Very serious stuff. Very serious. All right? So putting on the whole armor of God, all right, so we can be strong, is no different from putting on the new man, Ephesians 4:22 to 24. Many times we have put on in the New Testament, all right? Put on Christ. Putting on the helmet of salvation is mind renewal, which is key to walking in your sonship, which is key to being and staying strong in your union with the Lord, in your walk with the Lord, which is something I must write much about, which is something I write much about, right? Sonship. I teach a lot on that. The Apostle Paul is commanding the saints. In the Greek, it's a commandment to put on, all right, or be strong. They're commandments, all right? They're imperatives, all right? Commanding the saints to be strong, meaning there's a possibility of being weak, right? When somebody's telling you be strong, most probably you're weak at that time, or there's a possibility of being weak because of your circumstances, because of what's going on around you. We are called to not only survive during these evil days, perilous times, no, but to have the victory and bring the victory to others, as well as teaching them also to walk in victory. That is so important. All right, let's keep going on here. These perilous times has to do with the great tribulation. I am 99.9% sure of that. Or is it possible that the great tribulation will be much worse or worse than these perilous times we are being warned about? Possibility, but I don't think so. I think it's all the same. Could we be entering these perilous times and then entering the great tribulation? I don't think so. I think it's all one. The Lord had given me 2 Timothy 3:1 in 2008 during my first 40-day fast. Absolutely. I remember where I was. And a few years later, He had given me this other word, prepare for the worst. I remember where I was. I was walking down the stairs. Right. Yeah, prepare for the worst. What was he talking about then? And even years before, he had given me this word, the days of the glamorous side to the ministry is coming to an end. That's right. When you're in perilous times, there's no glamour to the ministry. And there is no glamour to the ministry in the Bible. There is none. It's all warfare. It's warfare. All right? So it's coming to an end. So yeah, it's coming to an end. In other words, the Lord has been warning me about all of this for years now. He's been warning me. Why? Because I've been seeking Him every day. In other words, the Lord was telling me that I was going to be here during the Great Tribulation, or this perilous times, all right? And I needed to get ready for it by learning to walk by faith, walking in the Spirit, walking in my sonship, all right? And that's what I've been doing, working at for years now, so that God can get much work done even during the Great Tribulation. It's not all doom and gloom during the Great Tribulation, but it can be if you're not careful, all right? I'm not saying it does not exist, but I don't remember hearing any good teaching on 2 Timothy chapter 3. Not really good teaching in context with the Great Tribulation. All right, regarding the rapture, being taken up into the clouds to be snatched away, caught up, taken away, etc., etc., etc. Different ways to say that, right? We're going to be here during these perilous times, because if we were not going to be here, why would God warn us about them? Right? Why would He warn us if we're not going to be here? No, we're going to be here. We're going to be here for these perilous times, right? In the latter days, in the last days. This term, last days, is used many times in the Old Testament, absolutely, but mostly in the New Testament. And some say that this is referring to the days of the early church, or the church age. Now also, until now, also called the church age. But I don't believe this is to be true. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. The Lord had given me a word with the words, in these last days. Yeah, a few years ago, regarding the private jets. They will be greatly needed. Just a few years ago, meaning in the days that we're living now as we approach the end of times as we know it. Yes. Ever since the fall of man, things have gone from bad to worse. And according to the Word, things are not about to get any better, but much worse, especially when you read what Jesus said, all right, in Matthew 24:21, as well as Luke 21:26, just to name a few. Just to name a few, all right? In some places in the world, not the word, in the world, the church has experienced evil days as well as perilous times. Absolutely. Especially more than others, especially in nations like China, Iran, North Korea, communist nations, different things like that, where there's great oppression against Christians and other religions, but especially Christianity. But what we read in these verses, I've already mentioned, this is basically going to be affecting all Christians worldwide. All Christians worldwide. All right? Some more than others, depending upon their readiness. Depending upon their readiness. And not just for those who are living in these communist nations. No. This last days, the term last days, is basically referring to the end of the age, or the end of time, and we are getting closer each and every day. Every day. I'm seeing it. We need to know the times that we're living in. Jesus talked about that, right? Yes, we need to know so we can prepare. When God flooded the whole world, He was pouring out His holy wrath and indignation because of the condition of the world at that time. All right? During that period of time, Genesis 6. Read it. Read it. Before He flooded. Why did He flood the earth? Right? It's a judgment. It was a judgment. Now, it wasn't the great white throne judgment, but it was a judgment. Right? Upon sin. Right? And this will be no different in these last days, since man has not changed, therefore will succumb to the very same holy wrath and indignation of God, rightfully so, yet this time it will be with fire and not water. 2 Peter 3:6-7. All right? Very serious, very sobering. My final note here, I got two final notes here. I'll tell you, I'm leaving stuff out too. We need to read all of chapter 3. All right, I just mentioned verse 1 here. Well, we need to read all of chapter 3, and then we need to proceed into chapter 4, which is a very interesting chapter with these key words, for the time will come when, in verse 3. All right, we got to read that. All right, which is very synonymous and has great similarities with the words, in the last days, perilous times shall come, in verse 1 of chapter 3. Strongly implying the last of the last days, or the very end of time as we will know it. All right, so let's read real quick here. Let's read Second Timothy 4:1. 2 Timothy 4:1, what I just said, right? Preach the word in and out of season, right? We all know that one. Preach the word in and out of season. But then he goes into 3, for the time is coming. So it wasn't there then when he wrote it. He said the time is coming, right? When people will not tolerate, endure sound and wholesome doctrine, instruction, but having ears itching for something pleasing and gratifying, they will gather to themselves one teacher after another, to a considerable number, chosen to satisfy their own liking and to foster the errors they already hold. All right? So very, very interesting in context. All right? Because this is said right after we just read what my teaching on 3:1, chapter 3, verse 1. So, final note, let's go to 1 Timothy. 1 Timothy. Let's back up a little bit. 1 Timothy 4:1. Very interesting here. It says here, but the Holy Spirit distinctly and expressly declares that in the latter times. There we got to get again, in the last days. What's he warning us about? Some will turn away from the faith. The great apostasy. Right? Not during his time, in the last days. Right? Giving attention to deluding and seducing spirits and doctrines that demons teach. All right? Very, very, very timely message for the church. And I'll be doing a lot of conferences on these types of topics because it's needed. And a lot of people are very ignorant when it comes to these things. So anyhow, I want to thank you for your time. I think I'm done. And I encourage all of you to walk in the fullness of your sonship by walking in the fullness of the grace of God and of the faith of God. Because it's faith that gives access to the grace of God. Shalom and amen.